Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of BTC to take a look at what has been going on most recently with the price action of Bitcoin and what we think is likely to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out guys, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check it out. And it's the first place we go to notify you of everything that is happening in the crypto space, so why not stay informed by keeping a finger on the pulse of crypto in Discord. Okay, let's take a look here. Right, we've got Bitcoin paired up with USDT. This is actually our daily chart, and I want to start here before we go down into the smaller time frames just to give you a bit of a picture as to kind of what is going on. We are using Binance as our data source, so if you wanted to replicate the chart, that's kind of the main set of data that you're looking for. Right, let's talk about this. We've got the parallel channel going to the upside here, and again, higher highs, higher lows have a tendency to break to the downside. We speak about this all the time. Here's a bit of history on that. Higher highs, higher lows, breakdown, higher highs, higher lows, breakdown, higher highs, higher lows, breakdown, and so forth. We're in nothing too dissimilar, same kind of concept right in here. And the bull market, in my opinion, has not started, and for the same reasons that it did not in June. From the June lows, we had this parallel channel just over here, and all of this overlapping structure, right? This overlapping structure that is inside here, from an Elliott wave theory point of view, is basically all corrective, not a trend. Okay, not only is it not a trend from an Elliott wave theory point of view, but also was not a trend because we were below the 200 EMA. So even from traditional standpoints, we wouldn't have been considering it a trend. Now here we are with our current parallel channel, and you can again see we are in an overlapping structure in here as well. So again, not a trend to the upside. And not only that, we are of course below the 200 EMA. So what's really different here from June? Not a lot, to be honest with you. We do have, of course, the DXY going a bit nuts by basically coming down the way that it has done. It has forced other assets like Bitcoin to go to the upside. If you understand what the DXY actually is, it's a dollar index. Dollar index essentially means the value of the dollar, and if the value of the dollar goes down slightly, well, you need more dollars to buy your cryptocurrency assets. So if the dollar goes down, then Bitcoin USDT pair goes up, right? Bitcoin's value goes up. You need more USDT to buy the Bitcoin. Okay, so understanding the importance of the DXY helps you, not get caught out by fake pumps like this. Essentially, the demand is rather low. In fact, we can talk about that in a little bit more detail, which is one of the things that we need to talk about here on our daily chart, which actually cropped up during our Twitch stream. Someone pointed out that the RSI, okay, on the daily time frame has actually gone up into the overbought area and is higher than it was when Bitcoin was $48,000. Now, I'm a big fan of the stochastic RSI. Let's bring the stochastic up. You can see that we're overbought, and we're overbought on the daily, the 20 hour, the 16 hour, the 12 hour, the 8 hour, the 4 hour, right? We're overbought on all these time frames. Okay, now the stochastic is great, but it's a stochastic version of the RSI. And if I bring up the RSI, which is this one here, you can see this purple line. I might just flip these around. Actually, no, I'll keep it purple. It's fine. So you can see this purple line here, up in this overbought area, currently rocking at 81.52. Now, if we shoot on up just a fraction here, you can see up here we have this dashed line. This dashed line comes in at $48,000. And you can see up here this was a high point. We can also see on our relative strength index, if I just pull this down a fraction, our relative strength index was over here. Okay, we have now gone up higher on our relative strength index since this point, in fact. Okay, so we can even take it to the all-time high over here, and we are still higher than that on this relative strength index. We all know what happened afterwards, right? So not only were we in the parallel channel during this time, we broke down from it, because that's what happens when you set up higher highs and higher lows, you break downwards, right? But we also were up in this overbought area on the RSI, and it's the same with the stochastics. Now, where we are right now, obviously, is up in this top end of a parallel channel, and overbought on our RSI. This is bearish divergence because what we actually have is price setting up lower highs whilst the RSI is going up into higher highs. That is divergence. It's different. And we should be expecting massive collapse here when it comes to Bitcoin, in my humble opinion. Now, that's going to split opinions because obviously there's lots of chatter and lots of noise about being in a bull market. And I think people eventually will learn that this is not what happens. Now, there are some positives to be taken here, okay? And that is that actually the reverse of this is true, okay? So lower lows and lower highs means that you tend to break upwards, right? And you can see these time and time again. Lower lows, lower highs break upwards. Lower lows, lower highs break upwards, right? So if we were to kind of zoom out of this just a fraction and start thinking big enough and long enough in terms of terminology, then actually what's going on here is it's a big channel to the downside in this bear market, in the same way that we saw previously and previous bear markets as well, right? We're in these kind of channels to the downside, and these will eventually break to the upside, right? And so that's no different. But inside here, we do have these micro channels, and we should be aware of them, okay? So I'm expecting downside price action here. Now, we might push up a little bit more. We're going to talk about how high that things could potentially go on the smaller time frames, but our macros are very clear. It's a big, glaring warning for everyone involved in Bitcoin. Now is potentially a good opportunity to get out of your positions. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice. My target for this is 13,200 to 13,900. As I said, that's kind of my target. That's based on my analysis of the charts. You may have different targets. You may think we are in a bull market when we're going forward, and that's fine. Okay, you got to do what is right for you. Now, for me, I see this as an incredibly bearish situation to be in when it comes to Bitcoin. We've gone up only because the DXY has gone down and not because there's an increase in demand. Now, we can talk about that, and I can kind of share my thoughts on all of that by looking at the inflows and the outflows of Bitcoin. We can see that there is not an outpacing of demand versus the supply. The supply is equally meeting the demand, meaning that actually this is bearish times. We are not seeing, an demand coming in and outpacing the amount of Bitcoin that's available to purchase. There is no real demand here, signaling that we should be thinking that there is a bull run on the horizon here. Instead, it's more so the opposite, that actually whatever demand is there is being met by equal amounts of supply, meaning this is a controlled environment, and that could be even more alarming to some individuals. When we start talking about the kind of wallet counts and who's buying and who's selling, we can actually see some fluctuations with the retail investors actually coming down in wallet counts on the krill side, the dolphin and the shrimps. You can see the slight fluctuations here and here, and when we actually go into the larger size wallets, we can start to see there's a slight fluctuation to the upside here on whales and a slight fluctuation on the sharks, but the kraken is still coming down a little bit as well. So essentially, it just looks like money is moving around between participants here, and you're not seeing a significant kind of demand or increase from our kind of Bitcoin whales, right? The Bitcoin whales are the ones that we're looking to see buy. At the moment, this is the kind of situation. Over the last 365 days, all we are seeing is a de-risking going on. We might be looking for a move to the upside with these accumulations of whales at some point in the future, but I don't think that's going to happen until the retail investors are getting shaken out of the space. Essentially, there's going to be a buyer and a seller, and I'm expecting the retailers to sell their Bitcoin to the whales as they had done in previous years. If we actually take a look at what happened in 2018, we can of course see that the retail investors were selling during this flat period right here. And this flat period is exactly where the whales were buying. Okay, so there's always a seller and there's always a buyer. Right now, we aren't seeing any massive changes. We're just seeing shifting, and essentially all the whales have been selling throughout 2022. We might start to see a fluctuation here, but we're not seeing massive kind of selling pressure occur yet from our retail investors. So when it comes down to kind of all the price action of what's going on in the charts on these kind of macro timeframes, we should be concerned that this is a limited move to the upside, only driven from the DXY. And when this DXY starts to actually reverse and correct back up again, which I do think will happen at some point soon, then we should be prepared for what that might mean. Now, if I bring this up into our daily here, you can see this correction after a nice run to the upside. This could start to come to a bit of a conclusion here, and we could start to see a bit of a move upwards on the DXY, which of course will mean that everything else has to go down. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump down into our smaller time frames. Let's check out the hourly. Let's get rid of the RSI here on the hourly chart. We don't need that one. what we'll do is I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can see. Here we kind of spoke about this morning on Twitch, our targeted range of 19,301 to 20,113. This seems to be the upper area of where we think things can go. Now, from our stochastic RSI, if I bring up this one, we can see that we still got some progression to the upside here. So we can still come into our targeted range. In an ideal world, that's kind of what we would like to see. Just to finish off an overextension within this area here as we kind of move on up. So if I targeted this out as an ideal way, I would be looking at between 19,200 and 19,370. That would be the ideal. However, it's possible that actually we correct down first and we do something like this with an A, B, and C structure, and that would actually target us down a little bit lower, which would actually give us a higher projection target slightly further down the line. So that would actually put us at approximately the 18,656, and then from here I could take that high, come down to our 856, and then we would see this at about 19,227 through to about 19,400. But really, we are talking real minor movements at this point. Both of those scenarios are possible, and they both are indicating that they were on the lower end of this area, which was the 19,300 to 20,113. So we'd be on the lower end of this spectrum by the looks of it. All in all, I wrap all of this corrective structure up here in a B wave move, and that B wave move is inside another C wave move to the downside, projecting out on our $13,000 levels. Okay, so a C wave afterwards, it would be a 3-wave drop or potentially even a 5-wave drop. And yeah, for the most part, if I zoom out even further, you can kind of see that this is a big A, B, and C structure taking us down there. Once we're at these bottoms of around $13,000, we'll have to see what happens next. That's basically ground for a reset there, and we'll see whether or not we continue in a trend upwards, we get a trend reversal pattern, or whether or not we just go into another parallel channel where we can kind of see another bear market rally, only to come back down again later. Okay, these are the things that we are constantly kind of reviewing, and the bigger thing here is to pay attention to what is going on the daily chart, right? Because are we just going to continue to have these little bear market rallies like these ones just inside here, where it kind of tricks everybody into thinking that the bear market is over and we're in a bull market? And are we going to end up with another one just down here, and we're going to just kind of continue grinding our way down slowly over time until we actually get a trend reversal pattern to the upside and we break out of those lows? Okay, so there's a whole bucket load of opportunities in the market, but we are at that kind of critical point where we should start to be concerned over everything that is going on with BTC. Now, on the weekly time frame, we still look like we have progression upwards, right? And we can kind of see that here. We're not overbought yet, but there is an area of concern, and that is that we are kind of coming down here. If I actually trend line this out, might actually just try to fluctuate this just a fraction here. Kind of see that we are coming up to this area, right? And this would be approximately 74.5 on the stochastic RSI. If we do that, then actually, yeah, we could start to see this reversing down without going up into the overbought area. But it does look like there's a little bit more growth in it, potentially, but it is minor at this point. And yeah, so for the most part, I am thinking it's potentially time to really start thinking about whether we want to be holding Bitcoin at this particular moment, or whether or not we want to kind of come out of those positions and wait for these dips and buy up the next major swing, because all of these are swing trading opportunities. That's kind of what is going on within these, and so we should be coming out when the time looks to be correct. I'm going to leave this video there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll catch everyone in the next one.